Good morning. It's Wellness Wednesday. I know. A video back to back. Here we go. Getting some self-reported great content out there, right? I'm going to make a attempt to get some information out there in a short period of time. Let's see if I can do it because I love this stuff. I love stepping into my passion and my purpose and getting this content out here that I've been working on for years and have not been sharing. So, my name is Shannon Myers. I go by the Paleo Counselor on social media. Shannon Myers is my actual name, and I am a certified rehabilitation counselor, which is uh, an unknown type of very holistic, meaning the whole person counselor. I embrace really really integrative, innovative, alternative ways to heal, precision medicine, integrative medicine, functional medicine. I am obviously a counselor, so mind, body, spirit. I'm an ordained minister because I understand that if we're not spiritually aligned, things are not going to be working out, and it's going to show themselves in really, really different ways. I'm also a research fellow at the Harkin Institute, professor at Drake University, all these titles, all these things. I'm a human being, earthling, wife, mother, yogi, weightlifter, person that dances and likes to eat and read books. And I'm like a lot of people. So I left my job over a year ago, working for the safe and the known, and I've stepped into my passion and purpose, and I'm very adamant on doing pro bono work, because there are populations out there that just coaching is not accessible. I work as an integrative health coach primarily, and I'm an independent researcher, and doing a lot of studies out there that, pharma does a lot of studies and they have a lot of money, but there's a lot of other ways to heal that are not known because the financial interests aren't aligned. And so I'm getting that information out there. Hopefully that's what I'm doing, right? We have to have people subscribe to the channel, the Paleo Counselor, and get on the website, on social media, putting content out there every day that I'm trying to be really relevant as to what the research is saying, and then what my community is saying that is needed. Today, I'm going to be talking about morning rituals or morning routines, as some call them. Why? Because we need to check in on others. I saw this really lovely post by Dr. Mark Hyman, who's a functional medicine doctor, and I love his work. I'm a big fan of his work, obviously, because I'm in the functional medicine world, but he's really leaned into the connection and meaning and mental wellness components of physical wellness, and that's where he's been really effective. And I saw a post of his that was saying, check in on others, and it really prompted me as to what we need to be doing as humans and trying to connect with one another because we're not okay. I just posted yesterday about men's health. My husband came on here and he talked about self-healing from the male perspective, for mental and physical wellness. And that was our biggest, most watched video. Why? Because there's not a lot of resources out there for men. The information isn't out there, and men are dying at record numbers at their own hands, through suicide, addiction, overworking, and lifestyle diseases, which are lifestyle diseases are brought on epigenetically through stress and overworking and grinding and hustling, and the things that in our culture that we really honor for men to do. And what happens from that is lack of boundaries. So working 80 hours a week, which is not okay for anyone. It's not healthy. And then men typically have the higher incidence of all lifestyle diseases. And when I say a lifestyle disease, people don't really understand what that means. It's a disease that can be prevented, but it is the one that will eventually end in death such as diabetes, heart disease, mental health conditions, these things that are brought on through our often toxic, I'm not holding anything back here, toxic lifestyle, working 80 hours a week. That's not how humans were designed to operate. That's my name comes from the Paleo Counselor, Paleolithic times, where we have evolved from, and we've evolved into this society of uh, too much TMI, too much information, just at all levels with social media, with not having boundaries and just email and being on our phones all the time, just this all the time in your phone. We have not, I was talking to my husband about this last night. It's like, I see everyone overwhelmed. It's almost everyone could get diagnosed with ADHD just because we're just like, we're checking our phones on average over 2,000 times a day. Phones are being unlocked to check that. How are we getting anything done? I'm putting myself in that. I've worked for years to undo these patterns. And with that, I found a lot of work with boundaries, which is what I'm going to be sharing with you to kind of hack that morning, to set it up that you're living a good day, your best life, starting out first thing in the morning. So, how do we start our day with a morning ritual? It actually starts the night before. So, I wrote a article on sleep, a research article. I wrote this several years ago, and then I updated it this last year. There hadn't been any. Usually, the only time when I publish things is when I look out the research world. There's not anything there that I feel is sufficient. And with sleep, there wasn't anything that was holistic. It was all like 3 tips to get better sleep. And it's like, no, it's more holistic than that. And you have to dig into the research and why. So I wrote an article several years ago. Since then, there's been 2 books that have been published that have been really good as far as talking about sleep and how we can kind of hack that. But that's on my website, thepaleocounselor.com. I work with getting all of my clients to sleep 8 to 9 hours a night. This is where you're going to get the most ROI as far as weight loss, insulin function, so diabetes, prediabetes, mental health conditions, support those as much as you can, and then lower the epigenetic risk for all disease. We talk about this as inflammation, and nobody knows what chronic inflammation really means. It means all diseases and cancer, death. Okay. Chronic inflammation over time equals mental health conditions, symptoms, and physical health symptoms and disease, and then death. Okay. So the one way that we can lower inflammation is by getting sleep. So you have to start with a morning routine that starts at night and kind of designing your day. So the biggest piece there is actually having boundaries with yourself. I think a lot of times we let ourselves down and we lie to ourselves about what we're really gonna do, what our goals really are. Are they really aligned? And it's that letting ourselves down and not adhering to our own boundaries where we start to feel shame and guilt and that we're not enough. And how do we trust others if we can't trust ourselves and what we're promising to ourselves? And not to get very philosophical, but I am a counselor, and that's, at the root of it, it's we're lying to ourselves and deceiving ourselves as to we're breaking our own promises. And we know what we need to do. Everybody does, mostly. I know I need to get to bed earlier, but you don't honor that. And you're not honoring your own boundaries. And so it makes it hard in a workplace to honor others' boundaries. And so you see in our workplace culture, no one's honoring boundaries. And that's why everyone's emailing you on the weekends and in the morning. You teach people how to treat you, right? So you have to believe that you're worth it. And you have to, a lot of this stuff is just habits, which take 21 days. That's 3 weeks. I've gone from someone who had 0 boundaries in my 20s and didn't sleep. I slept a couple hours a night to all the boundaries and sleeping like a baby. And that is how I am able to do all of these things, is because I actually took a step back and didn't work. I worked smarter, but not harder. And so that's what works for all of us. But you do have to kind of review, where you're going wrong, and having some honest conversations with yourself, which they it gets to be kind of hard when you're like, oh, I really do that. That's my pattern. Okay. But you can undo those patterns, and you can start today. You can always start. You can start right now. Maybe you promised yourself this morning you'd work out or read or not check your email. That's fine. Start tomorrow. You can always start. A lot of times we start a New Year's around birthdays or special occasions. I say birthdays because my birthday's in the middle of the year, and so it's like a really good check-in each year with myself, with that mid-year, that midpoint biannually. You can start right now. You can start at the end of May. It's great. So start with setting up a morning routine or ritual the night before, and really look at your schedule in your life and start small. The best morning routines, the individuals that are the most productive, that are the most peaceful, that have the most mental wellness, physical wellness, they spend time in the morning. Tons of books have been written about this. Tim Ferriss writes about this. All spiritual leaders, they write about this. Any CEO, I'm a CEO, anyone that has performed at a high level, they guard their boundaries, and they have a morning routine that does not include nonsense such as social media and checking your email. So a good place to start is anywhere, like for 5 minutes in the morning and going from there. The goal would be about 45 minutes. Some go to an hour, some spend a couple of hours. Everyone's genetically different. I genetically don't wake up as early as my husband does, and I have that information, so I know that about myself. Sorry, I tried to shut that off, but it won't work. And so knowing that about myself, like, we just talk about that. We own it, being like, oh, you're going to get up earlier and you're going to do this, and that's fine. Like, I don't have to get up at the same time as you do. I have my own ritual and routine, and we honor each other's genetic space to do that. The morning time, I don't like to say what not to do. I'm not that type of it's not a great coaching technique, but really don't check your email. Don't check your email. Inviting that into your personal space in the morning, it creates a lack of boundaries, a lack of self-care, increase of stress, increase of all mental illness and disease is increased with that. And so you might have to scale back, because if you've been in an unhealthy habit of doing that, you need to slowly implement boundaries so that they are respected. Otherwise, it looks like, what's going on? You're not dedicated. You're not dedicated to this because you always answer. Well, that's on you, because you always answer. So you might have to say, hey, look, I'm on this wellness journey, and I'm going to be checking email between this time and this time. Actually makes you more productive. That's where I'm a ninja at, and do a lot of career coaching at productivity and work. I am a workflow ninja, a taskmaster, getting things done faster by bulking things together and not trying to do everything at once. Multitasking is BS. There's no such thing. You can only do one thing at a time well, and anything more than that, you're lying to yourself. There's no such thing, because you can only give 100% of your attention to one thing. Otherwise, you have 100% attention, but if you put 50% here, 50% there, you're only doing half service to both of these things. You cannot there's only 100% of attention. So the morning time is a sacred time to honor yourself. Why? Because I'm going to talk about checking in on others, but you have to check in on yourself first. I am someone who I work with a lot. I work with a lot of people. I show up for so many people. I'm a coach, I'm a counselor, I'm a researcher, I'm a mother, I'm a wife, I'm all these things, all these roles and hats that I wear. But I cannot serve my family, my community, my loved ones, unless I start with myself first. And that took me a long time to really, really, really realize. That's where I needed to invest my time in. And now that I do and I see the benefits, my day is completely different. My entry point was actually working out in the morning. And this was years ago. And I am not naturally a morning person or someone that I'm not naturally a person that works out, a natural person that's naturally positive, a person that just, "Ooh, it's going to be a great day." No, no, no. My I'm naturally negative. I want to sleep a lot. So I mean, this is proof that I have hacked my way into wellness, and my happiness quotient, which is a real formula. I grew up being a negative person because I was surrounded by negativity, and have turned into a positive person because 50% of our happiness comes from how we were raised. The other 50% is on us. So I leaned into that. I'm like, okay, what can I do here? And so doing those things, there's so many ways. There's so many ways to focus on yourself in the morning. And I know this is hard if you're a parent, or if you live with people, or if you're exhausted or dealing with a chronic physical or mental illness. But any amount of time that you spend in the morning on yourself you're going to get that ROI. You're going to get that ROI for sure, by guarding space and time, even if it's just waking up early to breathe. That's definitely my entry point after the working out. Just some deep breathing is really great. So here are some things that you can do in the morning that are not checking your email, stressing yourself out, and then getting on social media and comparing yourself to other people that are not okay, that are pretending that they're okay, is what's going on out there. Spoiler alert, that's what's happening. So you can, first of all, do whatever you need to do for yourself, and you'll know what that is. I have a friend that reads in the morning. I think that's awesome. I know other people that listen to podcasts that they've been wanting to listen to, personal development. Journaling is really great to process emotions. Dream journals are really, really good too. I keep a notepad by my bed, and I write some things out that I get insight in the middle of the night around midnight, and then 2 and 3 a.m. If I'm really processing through stuff, I get the answers to the problems that I'm trying to solve. And because I've opened myself up to this, anyone that's done any research on dreams, this is where we process our memories and release the stress from our day and consolidate them. And so you're going to be getting, and it's not being filtered by your subconscious. And so you're going to be getting some answers. And so I will sometimes look at that and then journal through that. Journaling is great to get your thoughts, ideas, anxieties, worries, concerns, your growth out on paper in real time. And the best kind of journaling, because I get asked this all the time, isn't typing the same. It's not because of the tactile, the sensory component of like physically writing it out is not the same. This is also limbic system training. When we are stuck in stressful situations, we forget how to breathe. In trauma, living in poverty, going through hard situations like a chronic illness, divorce, abuse, sexual assault, violence of any kind, any sort of trauma. And a lot of times people think, well, you're just talking about PTSD, right? No, I'm talking about any negative or stressful situation is trauma that's stored in your body. All the clients that I work with, I'm a trauma and a limbic system ninja. There's a lot of programs out there. DNRS is one. There's about 3 or 4 different programs out there. I can design programs for individuals that I'm working with, but the basic tenets of it are getting back into your body, learning how to breathe, getting out of your head and into your body, and calming down your entire parasympathetic nervous system that regulates breathing, digestion, all of the automatic responses in our body. Journaling is a great way. So you can journal in a lot of different ways. There's journal prompting that you can do. You can resolve past wounds through journaling. You can process through difficult current situations, or then you can do something called future self journaling, where you can basically program where your mind is going to pay attention to. Our brains don't know the difference between a fake or a real scenario. And so future self journaling is a great way to point your brain in a positive direction. Otherwise, we as humans kind of operate in our monkey brain mentality, and we scan the environment for danger all the time subconsciously. And that reaffirms our negative biases against the world, telling ourselves the negative stories that we have always told ourselves from the beginning of the time. The world's not safe. I'm not safe. This is bad. I'm not safe here. What's happening at work? Is everyone okay in my family? This is just how we have evolved. So you have to reprogram your brain to look for positive scenarios, and then your brain starts to have alternative information to seek out and think, well, wait a minute, hold on here. It's not all negative, but what about this scenario? And so your brain will subconsciously look for, and I always do this. I'm like, negative, this is my negative direction. Okay. And you start to move yourself over and start scanning the world for the positive. And then you start moving into your best self, your best life. It works. I do this with all of my clients. I've done this with myself. I am living my best life and my truth based off of this activity. So it's a great entry point. If journaling and reading and podcasts aren't your thing, gentle yoga, exercise, uh, breathing, meditation, mindfulness, walking in nature, going for a walk, listening to the birds in the morning. When was the last time you saw a sunset or a sunrise? Looking at one or the other. You should be looking at one or the other or both during the day. This is what tells our bodies. Melatonin is naturally produced in our bodies, or should be naturally produced, and it's not being, because our bodies are being hijacked by this thing that I'm looking into, my computer, fake light, and uh, seeing the sunrise and sunset, the two things that we can count on every single day in our lives. It kind of gets you outside of your own little bubble of BS and into, hey, we're kind of all connected, and how many millions of people are watching the sunrise right now with me, and wow, this is really beautiful. And you take a step back from your own neuroses, uh, and things that you kind of get stuck in. Going for walks, getting in the body, dancing, art, anything that's really gentle, that's not super stimulating. It's like the TV, the computer, checking emails. I only check emails for like a certain period of time throughout the day, and then I'm more productive the rest of the day because I don't have it like popping up all the time. Although someone did just message me while I was doing, I didn't read it while I'm doing this video. So guard yourself in the morning, because the day is going to try to eat you up sometimes and spit you back out, especially if you have a stressful work environment, or many, your family, there's a lot going on, and you have to show up for everybody. You have to show up for yourself first. And I know it's hard when you're dealing with a chronic illness and fatigue in the morning, but no one's going to make time for you. I go through my clients' schedules, and I hack it. I'm like, I make time. I make time for them. I give them back the gift of time. Here, you can move this around, put this here. You need to check in here. Oh, this is happening. Because everyone's day is different. My day is always different. And so the 2 times of the day that I can honor and hold space for them are the morning, especially, because that's the only time. If you get up a little bit earlier, a little bit, it's well worth it. And you'll start to look forward to that. And it does change around your perspective. So the morning and the evening. You should also check in with yourself. Theoretically, hourly, every hour, get up and walk. Don't look at your computer. Go and look at nature or a plant. But at least once during the middle of the day, because if the train starts falling off the tracks, you still have half the day to get it back on. Okay, so the second part of this video is checking in on others, your friends and family, and maybe posting really wonderful videos and pictures of themselves on social media. Or they may say that they're fine. A lot of people aren't. We're kind of in the midst of a crisis right now, and it's going to get worse. Sadly, looking at the research, it's grim. It's very grim. The inverse of that is there's a lot of opportunities, and taking care of yourself first so that you can go check in on your friends and family. And I don't just mean texting someone or talking about someone to another person that's not the person that you're wondering about. I mean, showing up for people in real time, in real life, checking in and saying, can I go and get you groceries? Can I sit with you? Can I be with you? Um, when are you going to be around? Where are you going to be at? Where are you at? A lot of times transitions are hard for people. So new parents, new moms, new dads, divorce, breakups, death, job loss. These times are difficult for moving, difficult for everyone, but they can be especially hard in certain populations. And you may be seeing people post on social media, but I mean, really check it. How are you really doing? I know that this has to be hard. I can't imagine. A lot of times people don't check in because they're like, well, I don't know what to do. It's not your responsibility to do anything. It is your responsibility to check in a human to human level, because guess what? You would want someone to be checking in on you. But it is, it is your responsibility to say, look, I don't know what this is. I don't know how to best support you, but I can sit here with you and I can be with you, and I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to judge you. I don't know what to say. Saying, I don't know what to say. This has to be really hard. That's all you have to say. You don't have to go into, well, what is not helpful is saying things like, this person has it worse, so buck up, or snap out of it. Those those two things are the most damaging things, and that's what gets people to shut down. So how can I support you? What do you have on your to-do list, that I can take off of your list? Can I Oh, you've been in bed for a couple days? I'm gonna crawl in there with you and watch TV with you and just be with you. Hug them. Connection. We don't get enough connection, human to human connection. A 20-second hug, both of your heart rates will start to sync up with one another. This is the mother to child connection, but it's a human connection. There's a lot of health hacks that are just human touch. Ask first before you crawl into people's beds and start hugging them. Definitely ask them first. But let's start showing up for people. Let's in real time, not on social media. If there's anything I can do, let me know. No, call them. Get on the phone, dial it, and then call them and say, I'm coming over. When are you going to be around? You don't have to plan anything out. Doesn't have to be, a lot of times people are like, I don't want you to see me like this. It's like, I'm not going to come over dressed up nice either. Um, and let them know that you love them and that you care for them. And no matter what, you're going to continue to check on them. A lot of times this gets to be hard for friends and family members of those with chronic illness or mental health symptoms, because someone doesn't get better or it's cyclical, like bipolar or addiction. It's a very cyclical health condition, and a lot of people just don't know what that is, because for them they get sick and then they get better and then they move on. But for someone with a chronic illness, the patterns keep presenting themselves. And if it's a condition where it degenerates, like a type of MS or ALS or Parkinson's or Alzheimer's, dementia, it does wear on you. And so that's where you have to take care of yourself first, especially if you're caretaking for others. I'm going to leave you with this, with just some of the research. I do research in the area of motherhood and pregnancy, but I want this to be accessible to everyone, because everyone has a mother, and that feminine energy is what supports and takes care of everyone in the world. Even men, you do have feminine energy within you, and to honor that a little bit more, to be a little bit more vulnerable, is kind of a freeing component of being human. And my husband shared that, and showing you ways that you can do those as men. But there is, and you can look into this. I have what's coming at you to be a really long white paper on this. But the caregiver conundrum, and then the maternal wall, just showing, how mothers are kind of stuck and then kind of stuck with work, not being able to move forward with working, and shattering that glass ceiling, but also at the same time having to be the caretakers of their children and then their aging adults. And so that's the caregiver conundrum. And there's a lot of more research, and I could do a whole post on this, but I'm not going to. But just to show up for mamas and to show up for dads, to show up for humanity, to show up for your neighbors, check in on everybody. um, I'm doing that today. I'm checking in on people real time, making house calls. And I'm not trying to like pat myself on the back. I'm doing it to keep myself accountable, to continue to do that. It's my pro bono day, and to be able to show up for my community and my family, my human family, the people that I live in my community with, my real family. Uh, to be able to just be with them and connection, meaning, and purpose are what we're all here for. You can call this love, but a lot of times we seek this out through status, through money, through all of these other ways. But at the root of it, it's love and connection. That's what we're all here for. And I hope that me putting myself out there and telling you this is kind of what I'm doing with my life. In addition to obviously paying the bills and making money and making videos like this, I do work that does pay, because I still have to live in a culture where, I mean, I can't like live in my car. I guess I could, but I don't, necessarily think that that's what I need to be doing here. Um, Finding that balance between how can I show up for people with showing up for myself first? What more is there here, rather than, I think we try to seek degrees and money and status. And I'm telling you that every single person that I work with, it's not, they're looking for self forgiveness, self compassion, self care, self acceptance, learning to love themselves so they can love others, or kind of stepping away from the material society and more into the deep internal work, that brings peace and joy and connection. And if sometimes, if not starting with yourself first, you're going to burn out if you don't. Sometimes starting with others and seeing that other people are worth it, and start treating yourself like your own best friend and showing up for yourself that way, sometimes that's a really good entry point. So I hope this information is helpful. Please provide feedback. I'm going to be doing some self funded research coming at you. I'm going to get a small intestinal bacteria overgrowth practitioners and patients guide out to you. That one is going to be for purchase. I'm going to do a UTI for purchase. I'm doing opioid addiction, doing a magnesium study, a psychedelic one at some point. I said magnesium. I've got a long list. Oh, dance and movement. That one's coming at you. I've been sitting on that research for 5 years, getting that out there. Limbic system, getting all this out there, all this that I've been writing about, talking about, working on for years, and just stepping into getting more content out there. I hope to put this all in a book at some point. It's just hard to do everything at once. I have to focus my efforts on something. So I do work with individuals, couples, families, communities, employers, healthcare, government, grants, nonprofits, a lot of work in that area. And the summer and fall, I know there's a lot of weddings going on. I am an ordained minister, and I will facilitate, or officiate non-denominational weddings, and will co-create a unique. If you're kind of like into that alternative vibe and maybe want to do an outside or a destination wedding or something that's a little bit different, that's where I'm gonna be a good fit. I'm LGBTQI friendly, and like I said, non-denominational. So if you want some Brene Brown quotes, we'll do that. If we need to talk about nature, let's talk about that. it's all love. Love is love, and that's what I'm going to be talking about. So everything that I put together for weddings, I will send it out to you. Obviously, we talk and we work together and we co-create. What do you see for yourself? If you want to have your own vows, or if you need vows, I can get those to you. And then everything, I can send it to you before so that you know what I'm going to be saying. Uh, and different states, I'm willing to travel. Different states have different rules, and we can look that up and learn the timing for that, and what you need. So I hope to do a couple weddings this summer. Can do vow renewals, life celebrations, baby naming ceremonies, what have you. If you kind of want that alternative, vibe of like we're all connected, nature and love, I'm going to be a good fit for you. That's where I'm at. And if I'm not, I have pastors and access to referral sources. I mean, with everything that I do, if I'm not a good fit, I don't want to waste my own time and I don't want us both to be miserable. So I'm going to tell you right away and get you referred to someone that can help you. Every single person, there's not one person out there that can say that I have never done this. Every single person, I do a free 15-minute consult for individuals, and usually it's like a half hour for businesses, because there's a lot of parties that are involved usually in those conversations. Those are all free. The first one, if it's not a good fit, I do refer everyone to another resource, and I'm always adding referral partners, and I do that for no cost because I want you to get what you need, even if it is not me. That is not good for my business, to just be like, I can't help you. No, I'm not going to do that. That means if you have a question that I can't answer, I need to lean into understanding more about that so I can get that information to you because I work on the whole person. And a lot of the times I see the same things kind of over and over again. But every once in a while, there's something where I'm like, and then it's really fun to learn about for me. So you help me grow. Feedback helps me grow. Feedback on these videos. If you guys have questions, if you want specific content coming at you, I'm happy to do. I go off of what people are asking about. I am going to do something more on pregnancy and motherhood later after my research is published, to get that out there. And then continue to blog. Follow me on social media. I'm at the Paleo Counselor, on Instagram, on Facebook, the Twitter. I am Paleo Counselor. Pinterest. I sometimes put things out there. Obviously, YouTube. Follow my channel. Like, share my videos. Then I have my website, thepaleocounselor.com. And then I'm on LinkedIn, Shanda Myers. You look me up there. I'm bridging sick care to radical healing and prevention. That's kind of my little mission statement there. So sick care is healthcare, and trying to get some different strategies out there in the world, so that people can actually heal and have the best quality of life and love one another, connect with one another, have more free time, and not spend their life struggling and being sick. If you're going to be alive, you may as well do it being alive and well. And we've got to flip the model over to one of prevention, not one of reaction and acute care. It's not working. It's not working for anybody. Okay. Hope this has been helpful. Let me know if it is. Send some feedback. I can't grow if I don't know. Have a good rest of your day. Goodbye.